Well, hey folks, it's your old pal, King Krampus, and welcome back to day 10 of 31 Days of Halloween with your pal, King Krampus. Now, today's film is my favorite movie from France, called Brotherhood of the Wolf. At least that's its English title. Obviously, its French title is in French, so it's something like croissant baguette and whatever the German words for we surrender are. It's a historical period piece with some supernatural implications that turn out to actually be the machinations of a conspiracy of a bunch of rich assholes. It starts and ends in the midst of the French Revolution, where an old nobleman is basically awaiting to be taken down to go have a nice meeting with the guillotine, and he's writing his last account of this thing that happened to him as a young man. And most of the movie is then from his perspective as a young nobleman in France, somewhere around the year 1764, so prior to the American Revolution, but not by far. You can see like a lot of the French influence on American fashion at that time in this movie. Great costuming, great locations, very solid cast, even though the only person you'd likely recognize from it as a non-French audience would be Monica Bellucci. It does that thing I like, where it's a werewolf movie on the surface and how it's marketed and how it's presented, but then it turns out to not be a werewolf movie at all. Those are my favorite kind of werewolf movies. Wolfen is another good example of that, although done differently. In this case, the beast of Gavaudan is actually a vivisected lion that's had all this horrible shit grafted to it, and it's been living its life in pain and torment and all that kind of stuff. They do a really good job of actually making you sympathize with the creature and direct your enmity towards the humans around it. The two main characters are these a French naturalist / taxidermist who been in the Americas exploring, got involved in the French and Indian War. He has an Indian traveling companion named Manny. They show up in the Gavaudan province of France to participate in the hunting of this dreadful beast that's been hunting women and children up until that point and terrorizing the countryside. As I said, this ends up being part of a greater conspiracy from the aristocracy. It doesn't lean too much into the pre-revolutionary fervor, although there are hints at, like how the aristocracy kind of worked themselves into the corner that they found themselves in a few decades later. You can kind of say it's set at the beginning of the last chapter of the French aristocracy, at least of that time period. And overall, it's just a sumptuous movie, if that's the right word I'm looking for. Probably so, it is French. Sumptuous. Beautiful women. As I said, the costuming is excellent. The dudes are all attractive. If anything, France is not going to anytime soon fall into the trap of wanting to disrupt people's standards of beauty or anything. They have no shame about it, and that's nice. I don't have any immediate direct French ancestry, although I do have some going back pre-colonial. I do have some French Huguenot in me. And one day, all the Huguenots around the world and the Huguenot diaspora will come back together and retake France for ourselves and force all the people in France currently living there into ghettos, where we will set them up so that they'll look like terrorists, giving us the excuse to genocide them all and take their land. Precedent has been set up, so, Apparently it's cool for peoples who were scattered from their ancient homeland to all get back together and do that, even if they can barely claim any trace of actual lineage from those peoples. But, hey, Huguenots ho. Whereas I wouldn't necessarily put this movie in a top 10. I'm not even sure if it makes it to top 20, but it probably is like a top 100 movie easily. I mean, there's a lot of movies out there, so there's a lot of competition for what you're looking for and stuff. Some of the CGI is a little dated. The version they have on Amazon Prime, which we're about to go over, unfortunately, is the English dub version. And whereas, it's a bit easier to understand, and you're not having to read and also try to watch the images at the same time. Having had this on DVD back in the day when it first came out, the French version has better dialogue. Like there's just stuff lost in trying to translate it to not only English, but English that, you know, kind of somewhat matches the mouth movement. So it's not too obviously like some old kung fu movie where everyone's like, "You stop right there." You know, they don't want people to be too distracted. But in doing so, some substance from the story is lost. And so if you can find the French translation version and you're okay with reading and watching a movie at the same time, that's how I would recommend it. But period, even the English version is worth watching if you've never seen it before. And speaking of never seeing it before, here we go.
Yeah, the CGI is a little dated, but I mean, like what special effects aren't after enough time? Like France has a huge movie industry with special effects companies there doing quite the same stuff that Hollywood, ILM, one of my favorite things.
Alright, there you go. Brotherhood of the Wolf. Speaking of wolves, in the last video, I had asked the question of should I shock my dog, Chopper, as Hassan Piker has shocked his poor canine. I just want to reassure everyone that everything's okay. So, Chopper. Hey, Chopper. Chopper, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Oh my God. He's real. He's really real. Look at him. Look at him. Oh. Look at his face. Chopper, look at the camera. Look at the camera. Look at his face. Oh my God. Yes. Now get away from me before I electrocute you. So, as I said, I do highly recommend Brotherhood of the Wolf. It is easily my favorite French movie ever made that I've seen. Tune in tomorrow for another episode of 31 Days of Halloween with your pal King Krampus. We'll be going over some other Halloween-themed movie, just like all the previous episodes. In the meantime, hit like and subscribe, leave a comment, hit the bell, hype the video, check out the box below for a description of this video's contents and a link that will allow you to support the channel by the purchase of a role-playing game of your very own. And until next time,
stay crampinated! Revenge of the Lesbian Illuminati, the role-playing game. America's #1 lesbian college witch retro 50s Hollywood occult conspiracy RPG. Ha 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 ha.